What's up, guys? It's Cody here, and I just messed up my intro for the first time in 3 years. You may or may not have heard, some exciting news is going on in the Pikmin world recently. There's a random Japanese Nintendo website with troves of information about Pikmin 4, and just like the trailers I like to look into, we're gonna be diving deep into this to find out everything we can about Pikmin 4. But of course, there's no such thing as perfection, so the website is only in Japanese, which is a language I do not speak. Now, I have found translations online from various sources, but I don't trust them at all. So instead, we're going to be looking at the images on the website exclusively because honestly, the text can't have that much to hide anyway. Google Translate will get what it can, but some things will still be missed. And I just figured I'd let you know that before the video began, but it is already past that point. So let's begin. The first thing you'll get when you hop onto this website is a loading screen that is very reminiscent of the Rescue Corps emergency screen we saw in the character customization trailer. So that's a neat detail. After the website actually loads though, we're treated to some new footage of the game, which is excellent. There's no audio, which is fine, but luckily, Perfectly Nintendo here on YouTube was generous enough to compile all of the footage from the website into a single unobscured video. So keep in mind, if you're looking at the website yourself, not all of the footage we're going over is on the first screen of the website. We're just gonna get it all straight out of the way right here. So let's get to analyzing. First up is that same shot of the one-man ship heading toward the planet that we've seen 100 times now, except this time there's no logo blocking it, so I guess we can see we're heading toward this rather large island you can just make out among the clouds. Second is presumably our introduction cutscene to Owachi. We can tell this from the areas that we've seen previously and just the general vibe of the scene. And the next shot proves what I correctly assumed. We find Owachi before we get Pikmin because he's here with us as we get the first red Pikmin. This shot is interesting because we're in an area they've showed us before, but they were lying about. A new two-pronged fork treasure is sticking out of a dirt mound, and even more interestingly, this strange stomp object that I didn't even mention in my trailer analysis of the Nintendo Direct trailer now has a Rescue Corps flag sticking out of it. So there's a couple questions here. Is this object a cave entrance? And if it is, does the flag mean it's explored, unexplored, or perhaps that there's a lost castaway down there that needs to be rescued? All options are extremely odd and even more unlikely, especially the explored option, seeing as this is the first time we're getting our hands on a Pikmin. And there's nothing new with our red Pikmin, but there's something shiny back there if you look closely through the light of the ship. Colin and Shepard are also here, and we know that their ship is just a few inches to the right of the screen. And real quick, before we move on, I want to say this is the first time we see the cursor of our characters, I believe, which is cool. Next is a fight with a classic red Bulbor. Because we have all red Pikmin, we can assume this is in a beginning area. There's a push bag here. We see just a hint of those crystals from the first trailer that everyone theorized about, and there's another strange stump object, this one looking more metallic than the last. Diversifying cave entrances, or just an environment object? Who knows? Then there's a shot confirming that blue Pikmin and ice Pikmin do coexist, which is something people were worried about. But where did the red Pikmin go? I can't imagine that's an intentional detail meant to prompt any fan theories about gameplay, by the way. It's just it's funny that they wouldn't show them all off at once. You know, that seems odd. There's then a different angle of an area we've already seen before in the Nintendo Direct trailer, and it doesn't look like there's anything new besides this dead Spectralid and a drop of nectar, so that's pleasant. And then, bam! Brand new looking area, a desert, it appears, and as deserts always are, a very wet one at that. There's a dead water dumple in the water. Why do they keep showing us corpses? There's also a Larry the Cucumber treasure, though it may be a toy cactus, and another pile of crystals. Also, what is that in the distance? I don't know. Same color as the peckish aristocrat and the object we saw in the Nintendo Direct trailer, and there's your obvious incomplete bridge. Next shot, there's something blue in the background, maybe just a bucket or a background object, but I can't tell, so I thought I'd mention it. Why do we keep seeing this boat? And let's do some geometry. So we can tell from the fact that more than half of the onion we see from a single angle is red, and knowing that the onion's colors are proportionally sized by comparing shots from previous trailers and, common sense, we can tell this onion is not split into quadrants, but rather thirds. And though we do only see 3 types of Pikmin in this shot, the red of the onion is nowhere to be found in our Pikmin selection. So I know myself and others thought blue Pikmin transformed in ice Pikmin, but maybe it's reds. Yeah, that's probably wrong, but still, it does appear that ice Pikmin do not have their own onion. And let's move on to a completely different art style. Here's Olimar looking sadly at the wreck of the original SS Dolphin from Pikmin 1, which is missing several pieces, including the engine, and the bit that holds the Geiger counter in the part of the ship that opens up to collect other ship parts in Pikmin falls right off, which we have not seen before, so Olimar's in a rough shape. Little bit of Pikmin lore, I guess the guy who invented the Geiger counter on Hocotate had the same name as Hans Geiger, the guy who invented the Geiger counter here on Earth. What a coincidence. So are we or are we not collecting ship parts? I go back and forth every video, it seems. And you can see some identifying objects in the background that place him in the area with the bench. Bench gang, success, we got Olimar. Then we zoom out of the planet and it looks like Olimar's distress signal is being broadcast along with some data files or journal entries that we've seen in games prior. And that's the last bit of original content from the footage we see. Everything else was already in another trailer and I've already covered it thusly. But last for this footage, people have been discussing how oat chai is different sizes in different scenes, which is pretty obviously an indicator of an oat chai upgrade system. Like, obviously oat chai won't be able to swim through water until after we've unlocked blue Pikmin, surely, so there'll be some sort of in-game explanation for that and such. Maybe he'll grow and then, oh, he's more buoyant or whatever, I don't know. That is just a detail that exists, so you can't say it's not been covered. So, let's get to the actual website. On the homepage, there are 2 coming soon options, which are grayed out and coming soon, I imagine, and 2 options that you can click on, which we will explore those pages pretty soon. If you scroll down, there's text that I can't read, a 3rd button, which we'll click on later, and a link to the Japanese version of the character customization trailer, which is no different from the one I've gone over. Scroll down again and we get some real stuff. Here are some images of Pikmin 4. Let's go in a random order. First, Matites, those creatures that come out of nectar eggs in Pikmin 2. Then a picture of a burrowing Snagret, which looks absolutely huge and terrifying. Third, there's a Bulborb at night. Fourth, a shot of a fiery Blowhog. Fifth, what is that? It looks like that boss from Nintendo Land, aka a new type of Wollywog, mixed with those creeping chrysanthemum eyes. Looks threatening enough to be a boss, certainly. Sixth, the Empress Bulblax in the overworld. That's something that has never happened, despite bosses like the Snagret from earlier appearing in the overworld all the time. This is a new sight, especially odd since we already know she's also in a cave. So we're back to a Pikmin 2 and Pikmin 1 style of boss where they are not unique and instead there may be many of them all over the place. And lastly, for this round of pictures, our main character running from a boulder, presumably fired by either an armored cannon larva, a decorated cannon larva, or maybe an actual cannon beetle from the original Pikmin. That would be something I would love to see. And by the way, it's in that new desert area. Looks exactly like the Tropical Wilds, actually. There's some more text that I can't read and some cool new images of our character and the one-man ship. And this here zoomed in look at a pellet with some Pikmin carrying it sits over top of a new collection of images, all of which are actually not new and were previously seen in the Nintendo Direct trailer besides this image of a Pikmin carrying a baseball. And nothing appears to be altered from these images to the trailer, for the record. Next collection of images is Ochi a bunch of which are from the Nintendo Direct trailer, but here are the ones that are not. There's this one of Oh-Chi looking absolutely terrified by our first red Pikmin, a slightly different scene from the character customization trailer where Oh-Chi is in color and not a silhouette, but nothing else besides this text I can't read, and the last image of Oh-Chi on some sand with some red crystals on the ground, which we've discussed mark the spot for an onion. So is Oh-Chi digging up an onion or clearing a landing site, or what could be going on in this image? And there's a few new yet uninteresting images here as well that I'll show off. Below that are screenshots from the Nintendo Direct trailer, the official game art, and then we can see that those 4 links at the top are labeled with a picture of a captain, a Pikmin and Oh-Chi, Olimar, and a Pikmin alone. And lastly on the homepage there's this image, which is lovely. So let's click on the button with the captain icon and begin to look at this page. Bits and pieces of this do actually automatically Google Translate, so I'll show them on screen, but the grammar sucks, so keep that in mind. First is an Olimar profile with a preface reading, Captain Olimar, who is in distress on a certain planet. A month later, his distress signal reached the rescue team and they headed to the rescue. And then a button that gives you a nice ID of Olimar. I found a translation of this on Reddit. Here it is, but I wouldn't trust a word. But pause it if you'd like to read. Then there's a profile for the rescue corps team with Owachi, prefaced with, however, the rescue team that went to rescue Olimar has also disappeared. This is the so-called double distress, and here's the translation for that ID, though again, take it with a grain of salt. You may notice that this Reddit user who translated it seems to think a new planet is at play here, however similar the name is to Kopai, which is sort of weird that they would choose another name that is so similar. There's literally 3 planets that have names, and they chose one, whatever. Now, I don't know. I don't read Japanese, and I certainly don't read fictional planets in Japanese. So, again, maybe not. I don't know. People have been wrong before. Also, I'd like to point out that these IDs are explicitly for Shepard and Colin, which disproves some theories that people have been having online in my mind. The theory is that your entire rescue corps team is made up of random generation from the character customizer, but if you think about it, this doesn't make any sense because obviously they're gonna have consistent characters that, have a role in the game and have speaking parts in the game, because even in games where you get to design your own character, like Pokemon, 9 times out of 10, every other character is predetermined. They're not just randomly selected based off pieces that you didn't use from the character creator, along with the fact that these characters are named, so it would be really weird if they were just no, guys, they're not randomly made, basically. These are just characters, and yeah. Then there is this excerpt. The last hope is only you, the new member who remained at the headquarters. So, what happened to them? You, who received an emergency message, will explore an unexplored planet alone. And what I find interesting about this is it does say unexplored planet. Could be a mistranslation or a clue that this is not PNF 404, as I theorized in my character customization trailer analysis. There's this terrifying image of the player character and an ID card with its respective Reddit translation here, and as you can tell, this sort of disproves that all of your other characters are randomized, because your player character, even though they've been using the same generic player character for, representing all of them, not even that character is pictured here when Colin and Shepard were. And following that is a bunch of options for what your character could look like, because, quote, you, the player, can combine parts to create the look you want, which is probably the most horrifying way you could have described it. That's the end of that page, so here is the Pikmin labeled page, and it is simply a collection of the trailers we've seen so far. Hopefully that means this last trailer was not our final one, which would make sense. And by the way, the mysterious third button that I'd said we'd check out later is just a hyperlink to the captain's page that we literally just went over 5 seconds ago. So that certainly appears to be everything on this website. However, I do have some bad news. On the Nintendo pre-order website, the game is advertised as single system 1 to 2 player. Contrast that that with an online game like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and we can safely say that Pikmin 4 does not have online functionalities. What a bummer it will be if this is true. And I do not think I'll be needing a follow-up video to my character customization trailer analysis, but I will mention this, which was brought to my attention. The map of the world appears to be an inverted map of Earth this time around, as you can see from Zepson's beautiful art right here. Thank you, sir. And I just thought I'd mention that because I was wrong. I'll definitely keep you guys updated if the website gets updated. And lastly, I have a mission for you. Literally try to get me to pronounce Owachi correctly. It will not work. For those who are Pokemon fans, I do say Pokemon and pronounce Gyarados as Gyarados. So sleep peacefully knowing that I am a nonconformist and you are falling for their corporate tricks. But that is all for now, so I thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. I hope I didn't get any details wrong about this website. If only I could read Japanese.